It was 3:06 a.m. when my front door blew clean off its hinges. Not figuratively, literally. A thunderous crack, a burst of splinters, and 4 men in fake tactical gear stormed into my house shouting, "HOA Enforcement!" Like they were running some low-budget SWAT op. Only problem? They weren't cops. They weren't even with the HOA, just hired muscle in imitation vests. And that night they made a fatal mistake. They chose the wrong house. My name's Jared Clean, retired Army Ranger. Now full-time dad to my 12-year-old son, Logan. We live in a quiet cul-de-sac near a small lake in Minnesota. My wife passed 3 years ago from a sudden aneurysm. No warning, no goodbye. Since then, it's been just me and the boy. Logan's the type who builds Lego tanks with suspension and reads strategy manuals for fun. I've tried to keep things normal for him. But that night took away something I can't replace. The HOA had gotten strange lately. After a messy leadership change, a woman named Cheryl Ross took over. She wasn't elected, just declared herself acting president when the previous one moved away. Claimed a bylaw loophole let her do it. I called nonsense. Most neighbors shrugged. Until the fines began. One family got hit with a $200 charge for leaving trash cans out 37 minutes too long. Another was cited because their house was off-white instead of eggshell cream. I kept my head down until Cheryl came for me. Said my old F-250 parked by the driveway was a military-style vehicle banned from residential lots. Then she added processing fees until the bill hit $3,800. I told her straight up, this was harassment and to leave us alone. She smiled like I'd just thrown down a gauntlet. I had no idea she'd take it this far. None of us did. Back to that night, the door's in pieces. I reach for the 9mm in the biometric safe beside the bed, but I'm too late. One of them's already in the room, flashlight blinding me, shouting orders. Another rips the blanket away, barking something about resisting HOA inspection. I glimpse his vest. Black nylon, white letters, security enforcement. No badge, no name tag, no legitimacy. I freeze, hands raised. You've got the wrong house, I tell him. He smirks, nope, right house. Non-compliant vehicle on record. We're authorized to inspect and impound. They weren't even pretending to hide the robbery anymore. Out in the living room, another guy's tearing through drawers, yelling, "Found cash!" A fourth is shouting at Logan, who's standing barefoot in the hallway, trembling, eyes wide, trying to make sense of it all. That's when it happened. See, months earlier, I'd started teaching Logan gun safety, just the basics. How to hold one, unload one, respect it, and never touch it without me there. But I'd also told him, if someone breaks in and I can't help you, you do whatever it takes to survive. I never imagined he'd need to remember that lesson. But he did. Logan didn't scream. He didn't freeze. He slipped silently back into his room while the thug's back was turned. Opened the small biometric lockbox on the top shelf of his closet, the same one we practiced with every few weekends. Inside was a .22 Ruger, small caliber, but enough to send a message. I didn't see Logan draw it, but I heard the pop of the shot, then silence. Then screams. The thug in the hallway went down, clutching his thigh as blood spread across his black cargo pants. Logan stepped out, pale as a ghost, both hands on the gun exactly like we'd practiced, and said in the calmest voice I've ever heard, "Drop your weapons, or I'll shoot again." You could hear a pin drop. The guy in the bedroom froze. The one in the kitchen cursed, then ran for the back door. The man rifling through drawers hesitated, then followed. Within seconds, 3 of them were gone. Tires squealing as a black SUV without plates peeled out of the driveway. Logan didn't lower the gun until I stood and took it from him. His arms trembled and his eyes stayed wide for nearly a full minute. I held him, whispered that he did the right thing, that I was proud, that he was safe now. The 4th guy, the one Logan had shot, was still groaning on the floor. I dialed 911, explained we had an intruder, that he was armed and that my son fired in self-defense. The dispatcher asked me to confirm, "Your son shot the intruder?" I said yes. He paused then. "Sir, police are en route."
Keep the gun secured.
"We'll handle it." 6 minutes later, real cops with real badges arrived. They handcuffed the man, read his rights, and called an ambulance. They asked what happened. I showed them the fake uniform, the plastic badge, and the laughably printed HOA warrant of entry. One officer actually laughed. "This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen," he said. They made their own warrant. Apparently, Cheryl had invented an entire fake enforcement division, printed phony documents, ordered knockoff gear online. She figured if she called it a neighborhood security task force, it might look legitimate. She even went as far as filing a 501c nonprofit to make it look legitimate, but it wasn't. It was just her and a group of friends trying to scare people into following her rules. The SUV was traced back to her boyfriend, Doug, the man Logan had shot, who had a record for impersonating law enforcement and was on parole. Cheryl claimed it was all a misunderstanding, that she thought they were just doing compliance checks and had no idea it would go this far. She was arrested for conspiracy to commit home invasion, impersonating law enforcement, and reckless endangerment. The others are facing similar charges. Logan? The DA cleared him the next morning. Called it the clearest case of juvenile self-defense they'd ever seen. No charges, no probation, nothing, but that didn't erase the mark it left. For weeks, Logan barely slept. He checked locks obsessively, asked if we should move. One night I overheard him whisper, "I thought I was going to die." That broke me. I sat with him on the edge of his bed, held his hand, and said, "You were brave. Braver than I ever was at your age. But you don't have to be brave anymore. That's my job now. We've got therapy. We've got security cameras. We've got a new reinforced front door with steel hinges. Logan is doing better now. He rarely talks about it, but I see it in his drawings. He used to sketch tanks and helicopters. Now he draws our house with tall walls and searchlights, but he always draws us inside, smiling. Sometimes people ask if I regret teaching him to use that gun, if I'd handle things differently. And you know what? I don't. That night, they didn't just break into our home, they broke into our sense of safety, our right to live without fear. Logan stood up. He didn't want to be a hero, he just wanted to protect his dad. And in doing so, he saved us both. So here's my question to you. What would you do if someone pretending to be authority broke into your home at 3 a.m., dragging your child from bed, waving a fake badge? Would you freeze? Would you fight? Would your child know what to do? Let me know in the comments. And if you've ever faced a corrupt HOA or someone abusing power behind a fake title, share your story. People need to know they're not alone, and sometimes standing up starts with one small voice saying no more.